Can y'all see it? Are y'all seeing everything? Okay, so I'm going to start over just so that it's recording. All right, so chapter 24 is written by one of the editors of the book. Reiser is his last name. And so he's actually really funny in this chapter. He has a kind of a lighthearted way of talking, but he's gone through a lot of experiences. So he shares them with us in this chapter by telling us a lot of his failures. And so he says that the object of this chapter is to show you how he went through his initial process of finding a job in the instructional design field. So there's 20 lessons in this chapter. Lesson one is making sure that you are expanding your horizons when you're looking for a job. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. A lot of times job sites like Indeed.com, Monster will have a lot of job postings. Career centers will always have something available. If you go to conferences, obviously you'll find out through networking if any places are looking for instructional designers. And he emphasized that faculty members of your instructional design program are really good resources for jobs. He did point out that most instructional design jobs are for business and industry as opposed to education. And in fact, a very minimal number of higher education jobs are for instructional design. And so he did say that he wanted to make sure that we expanded our horizons as far as looking outside of the higher education world, because that's where most of the high paying jobs are, is in business, industry, and government. He talks about how, because of the fact that we are going to be working mostly in business related or industry related jobs, that we need to understand how businesses operate. He suggested taking graduate level business courses, management courses, to make sure that we understand the concept of how a business is run so that we can apply that to our instructional design projects that we create for them. Also, media production skills like e-learning and multimedia productions are a big thing for us to have as a strong set of skills, because a lot of instructional materials are now being delivered through online or the internet or some form of multimedia. So he suggested we definitely develop stronger skills there. But he also emphasized that we should develop strong set skills of design and analytics when creating instructional materials. So everything we pretty much covered in our classes about creating lesson objectives and goals and conducting evaluations and revising and creating assessments and analysis of every type of instructional goal or objective, so that we are strong in multiple facets. Management skills was a big thing. He mentioned that a lot of times when you are an instructional designer, you can become the instructional design lead of the project. And so having management skills, people skills, communication skills is really ideal. And so developing them is very important. Communication skills, definitely something that is very important as an instructional designer for many reasons, including communicating with your employer, communicating with the people on your team, and with the subject matter experts. So he definitely suggested developing a strong set of communication skills. He starts talking about when he applies for jobs, and when he initially graduated and applied, he probably applied for 4 or 5 jobs that he was rejected for. And so he definitely emphasizes, don't be discouraged if you don't get the first, second, third job, but make sure that you join professional societies. Kind of think about what your goals are in your career once you graduate. Talk to your professors, Dr. Elwood, Dr. Squires, and just kind of figure out where you want to go in your career path. And that should help you to narrow down which associations or societies you really want to be involved in. And then once you become involved, make sure you attend annual conferences, that you try to network with the people there. And he did mention that as a student, it is always cheaper to join some of these societies. And then he did say that once you join them, be active in them. Make sure that you deliver presentations, you submit paperwork for publishing, volunteer for working in subgroups. Just don't be afraid to put yourself out there. You will fail. It's going to happen. It happens to everybody, but this is how you develop your skills. This is how you get your feedback. And that's the most important thing, is to get the feedback. And he did mention that getting published is one of the best ways to get feedback on how your skills are developing and what you should focus on in your career. And to do that, you should be submitting all papers, reports, or projects that you even create in this program to journals or to be presented at conferences. And he said most likely you won't get published, but it'll always develop some set of feedback for you. And eventually you'll get published, which is always a nice thing. Don't fear rejection. Obviously, that's just in life. But he did say that in instructional design world, it's not just about what kind of accolades you get. It's also about getting the experience and the feedback that will help you grow. Um, Lesson 15 was about developing your area of expertise. Everybody kind of tends to stick with what everybody likes, the common denominator. And he actually suggested trying to kind of step out of the crowd and just kind of find something that is in high demand that you are interested in, and then try to develop more skills in that area. Because once you apply for jobs, you become more marketable and you stand out better than everybody else who likes the same type of styles. And then just like when we graduated from college initially and went out and got jobs in what we do now, you always want to be prepared before you go to your interview. Learn about the company that you're going to try to get a job with, about the people who are interviewing you, and then also make sure that you bring that up in the interview so that the interviewers can see your interest in the company, in the position, and in your future there. And also read a lot of literature in your area of expertise. That's where you want to sign up for journals, maybe log on to a lot of different, like EBSCOhost, look up some paper and electronic journals, and then find the ones that really appeal to you by reading titles and abstracts. And then you can either save them on your electronic file, or if it's a paper journal, kind of cut it out, save it, put it in some type of filing system. And if you can read it immediately, but always have stuff to refer back to so that you can stay informed and that your work is always very relevant to what's happening in the field. Lesson 18 was very much simple. Just pretty much tell your professors you're looking for a job. So Dr. Elwood, if you know any jobs, let us know. Just kind of keep the lines of communication open with your professors, because they know they are connected with a network that's much larger than the one we have currently. So in any field, it's that case, but definitely talk to our professors if you're looking for something interesting to do. And in order for you to make sure that you get that recommendation for a job, try to do your best work. That was his lesson. Obviously, we know this, we do our best, but that was his second to last lesson, is just always do the best you can. Because kind of like in my field of work, when my students go out to clinical, we tell them from day one, clinical is a 2-year job interview. Kind of the same thing with this type of degree plan, because it's a small network. It's not a small network, but it's a small world, and so everybody knows everybody. And what you do in class is always going to reflect forever, or at least for the first couple of years of getting a job. And then last but not least, just apply for any and everything. He mentioned that some employers will have a set of requirements or preferred skills or preferred areas of expertise, but they may not find exactly what they're looking for. And what you have to offer may not be exactly what they're looking for, but it may actually appeal to them more once they think about what their needs are. So as long as it's not super far-fetched and completely far away from what you're expecting, or what you're capable of doing, then I think it's a really good idea. And he thinks it's a good idea for just jump into it, apply for anything. The worst that can happen is you can get rejected, which he says has happened many times. So that is the end of my presentation. Dr. Elwood, are you still there? No? Okay. I'm sorry. Yes. Yes. So there. Okay. How do let's see. If I say stop sharing, but does that, okay. Yeah, do that. Do that. So she has control, but I don't know. She's controlling my computer though. Right. So she's controlling my computer. Hmm. Okay, so let me get it back from Sarah and then let me stop sharing. Now, my screencast is still recording. Yes. And let me move it over. Yeah, it's in there. It's all in there. Okay. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but the screencast only records to 15 minutes and it's at 14 minutes now. So I'm not sure if I should be stopping it and restarting it. Yeah, like I don't know if that's how it is for you guys, but this one is only 15 minutes long. Okay.